Hey all, so I wanted to make another quick video to go over a pain point I see when developing Streamlit. So this is going to be similar to the last one where I talked about forms. So it's kind of the same problem. If you put this age to like 11, let's say that's fine, then it has to reload everything, including so I have the main content. I have an artificial sleep here again, like I did before, just to show you. But the same problem exists, right? If you make any sort of change, then this entire thing has to reload. So this we're not going to solve with the st.form like we did before. This is a little bit different, and I'll explain why it's a little bit different later so that you can see when to use which solution. And basically, it's because this is it's a completely separate part of our app. We don't need to have that as part of the main content. So let's get into it, and then I'll show you more. All right, so it's a pretty simple app. We're importing Streamlit again in the main function here. What we're doing is we have the main content, then we're sleeping for 3 seconds, then displaying basically some content again, just to show you. And then we have this part of our app where you select the age in the present. Those are just to simulate like options that you have, and then it just writes that out to the screen. So what I'm trying to communicate here is like this is kind of the main section and doesn't really need to interact at all with this section of code here. So that's what I'm going to show. All right, so as before, I'll just select everything and then copy this in and show you what I did. So it's the same thing pretty much. What we're doing in the main section, we're still doing our same calling the content after 3 seconds, and then we're uh, doing the age in the present. We're basically doing that in another function called load birthday. And now what we can do on top of that is in Streamlit, you can use something called a fragment to basically say like this part of our app it's separate. It doesn't need to interact with the main part of our page. So we decorate that with st.fragment. So that's how we kind of say that. And the key here is notice that we're not returning anything. So if you did like just say return both of these and then have that is something that you can't, it's not recommended to do. I think this would technically work for like this simple use case, but the idea behind Streamlit Fragments is you're kind of caching everything, so you might end up getting some like weird values for age and present. So it's actually recommended in the documentation that if you are doing return values like this, or if you do want to return content, then what you would do is you would use st.form like I showed in my previous video. Whereas if you just have like a completely separate part of your app, then you want it to be a fragment. All right, so now just for a quick demo, I brought this back up. So if you select your age like this, then you see here it just changes what you see on the screen down here. So this part acts as like a completely separate component. Doesn't have anything to do with this. So this main timer, it's not reloading that when you're selecting anything on this component, so you can get your answers a lot more easily, I guess. So where this would show up if you're developing like a big application or something is if you have like a graph, which is a completely separate component of your application, you can kind of isolate that off from the main part of your application, whatever you have, maybe some report building or whatever. then you can kind of have that in a fragment if there's no like return value or anything that you need to use in that. Whereas when I was showing st.form before, we had a bunch of options like in our select box. Say this select box right here for selecting and present, this fed back into the main content, then we might want to do something like st.form instead. So hopefully that should help you with a pain point that you might be having in your application. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.